Since the time Islam first appeared in Makkah, it has never decreased in numbers, rather it has always continued to increase and spread. The Orientalists wanted to slander Islam by claiming that it was spread by the sword. The defeatists among the Muslims come out to defend Islam. So they deny that Islam was spread by the sword, and they say that jihad is not prescribed in Islam except in the case of self-defense. It is a common misconception with some non-Muslims that Islam would not have millions of followers all over the world if it had not been spread by the use of force. It was the inherent force of truth, reason and logic that was responsible for the rapid spread of Islam. Islam has always given respect and freedom of religion to all faiths. Freedom of religion is ordained in the Quran itself. There shall be no compulsion in acceptance of the religion. The right course has become clear from the wrong. Quran 2-256. The noted historian de Lacy O'Leary wrote, "History makes it clear, however, that the legend of fanatical Muslims sweeping through the world, enforcing Islam at the point of the sword, upon conquered races is one of the most fantastically absurd myths that historians have ever repeated. If Islam was spread by the sword, it was the sword of intellect and convincing arguments. It is this sword that conquers the hearts and minds of people." The Quran says in this connection, "Invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and argue with them in a way that is best." Quran 16-125.
The facts speak for themselves.
Indonesia is the country that has the largest number of Muslims in the world. And the majority of people in Malaysia are Muslims. But no Muslim army ever went to Indonesia or Malaysia. It is an established historical fact that Indonesia entered Islam not due to war, but because of its moral message. Moreover, they carry the message of truth, inviting others to it as well, and in so doing endured harm, affliction and oppression. The same can be said for those in the regions of Syria and Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, North Africa, Asia, the Balkans and in Spain. This shows that the effect of Islam on the population was one of moral conviction. Muslims ruled Spain, Andalusia, for about 800 years. During this period the Christians and Jews enjoyed freedom to practice their respective religions, and this is a documented historical fact. Christian and Jewish minorities have survived in the Muslim lands of the Middle East for centuries. Countries such as Egypt, Morocco, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan all have significant Christian and Jewish populations. Muslims ruled India for about 1,000 years, and therefore had the power to force each and every non-Muslim of India to convert to Islam. But they did not. And thus more than 80% of the Indian population remains non-Muslim. Similarly, Islam spread rapidly on the east coast of Africa. And likewise no Muslim army was ever dispatched to the east coast of Africa. An article in Reader's Digest Almanac, Yearbook 1986, gives the statistics of the increase of the percentage of the major religions of the world in half a century from 1934 to 1984. This article also appeared in the Plain Truth magazine. At the top was Islam, which increased by 235%, while Christianity had increased by 47%. During this 50-year period, there was no Islamic conquest, yet Islam spread at an extraordinary rate. Today the fastest growing religion in America and Europe is Islam. The Muslims in these lands are a minority. The only sword they have in their possession is the sword of truth. It is this sword that is converting thousands to Islam. Islamic law protects the privileged status of minorities, and that is why non-Muslim places of worship have flourished all over the Islamic world. Islamic law also allows non-Muslim minorities to set up their own courts, which implement family laws drawn up by the minorities themselves. The life and property of all citizens in an Islamic state are considered sacred whether they are Muslims or not. The sword of Islam did not convert all the non-Muslim minorities in Muslim countries. In India, where Muslims ruled for 800 years, they are still a minority. In the US, Islam is the fastest growing religion and has over 6 million followers. In his book The World's Religions, Houston Smith discusses how the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, granted freedom of religion to the Jews and Christians under Muslim rule. The Prophet had a document drawn up, in which he stipulated that Jews and Christians shall be protected from all insults and harm, they shall have an equal right with our own people to our assistance and good offices, and further, they shall practice their religion as freely as the Muslims. The famous treaty between Sophronius, the Patriarch of Jerusalem, and the second Muslim Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, d. 644, gives us an example of a dhimma agreement in which forced conversion was explicitly forbidden. This is the assurance of safety, Aman, which the servant of God, Umar, the commander of the faithful, has given to the people of Jerusalem. He has given them an assurance of safety for themselves, for their property, their churches, their crosses, the sick and healthy of the city, and for all the rituals which belong to their religion. Their churches will not be inhabited by the Muslims and will not be destroyed. Neither they, nor the land on which they stand, nor their cross, not their property will be damaged. They will not be forcibly converted. This is something for which Islam deserves to be praised, not condemned. Islam spread by means of proof and evidence to those who listened to the message and responded to it. It is clear, therefore, that Islam did not spread by the sword. Islam spread by the message of love and not by the sword.